Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee with Lisa. I'm Spiritual Coach Lisa Ha. It is Sunday, April 19th, 2020. I thank you so much for joining me today, especially if you're new. And if you are new, please check out my website for all my services at lisahop.com. That's LISAHOPP.com. If you're hearing this on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and you can share as well. And if you're getting this for the first time on my Facebook page, which is Spiritual Coach Lisa Hop on Facebook, please also like and share. I'd appreciate it so much. The subscribers are going up little by little, and it really makes my day when I see that. So far, fingers crossed, it's been a very positive experience, and so I hope over time it continues to grow. It would make me very happy, and it would give me the opportunity to serve, and that's what I really just want to do. So I want to say, and shout out to my friends who might be listening. Last night I hosted a ladies' virtual wine gathering through Zoom, and I don't know what took us so long to think of that even before our stay-at-home order, because, by the way, in case you don't know, I do live in America, in New Jersey, so we're now have to stay at home during the pandemic. And this is the second virtual wine gathering, and we added a couple more people, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. It's healthy. I'll just put it that way. It's healthy. But I did get up this morning a little bit more nasally. A little more groggy, from laughing so much, from staying up so late. So excuse the voice, if you do hear it from time to time. Now, I am not a proponent of overdoing anything, by the way, except laughter and having fun, in a healthy way. So when I say it's healthy to have a virtual wine gathering, of course it should be done healthfully, and no one's driving. It's not unhealthy for any of us, so do know that. Putting a little flag on it. Of course, if you're someone who it would not be healthy for, there would have to be other forms and ways for you to get through this time. Meditation is one. Trying to take a walk outside if you're allowed. Of course you're allowed, right? But around your neighborhood safely. If you have a yard in your backyard. Social distancing, that's all. Whatever you can do to free your spirit in a social distancing kind of way. Watching good, funny movies is another one. Reading a great book. A friend of mine is reading a series of books to get her through this time. That's a wonderful idea. So, but this was an opportunity for all of us to get together and to see each other and to catch up and to laugh, and it's therapeutic. And so whatever is therapeutic for you is important. Please do that this time. So I knew yesterday what the topic of this week would be, because a lot of this world is going through this pandemic, and a lot of us are locked down for our own health and safety. Not all of the country that I live in, but a good amount. And there's concern for those who aren't, because who isn't locked down, their cases are rising. But unfortunately, it's a state-by-state thing, and I happen to have a very good leader who's working in conjunction with other leaders to make sure that we're taken care of, to try and save our lives, because this is a new virus. There's been coronaviruses before, but this is a new strain, and we're getting to know it as we go along. And when someone gets it, sometimes they do fight it off quite admirably, and others, it catches strong. It gets them strong, and a lot of times it gets them very severely because they have other health matters going on, such as high blood pressure or heart issues, or just a compromised immune system overall. But sometimes it gets people healthy, so you can't even say it hits the weaker among us. My friend dealt with it a couple weeks ago, and he has gotten through it, but it frightened him. He was in such pain in his chest. It's hard for me to describe to you what he went through. It was a very, very rough time for him. And it was really like one horrific night where he really thought he was going to die. And he's so thankful that he didn't. That was actually in his life not the first time he's beat death or had an experience of getting through death. And it's all very spiritual for him, but the way he described it, I would very much like to miss it. It literally paralyzed him. And as I said, he actually suffered a lot of pain, and I think he even had sweats and such, and there was all kinds of symptoms. So so please use caution, because I want all of you to be safe and live full, happy, and as long a life as you wish to live. Now, to our topic. So with us all going through this pandemic, we've gone through different stages of it. First, perhaps we were a little bit nervous and put out by it all. And then we started to have fear, because we started hearing more, we started to see the death rate go up, and the hospital beds get more filled, and the bodies being buried and everything. And so it's important to be informed, but also not to get inundated with the news, because the news is telling us everything. And I mean the real news, the news that's informing, not the propaganda news. And no, please, do know, not all news is propaganda. Not all news is fake. You just have to find your reliable sources. I'll tell you what mine are. I trust in a PBS or an NPR, BBC. I like those who just tell us the news. They're like Walter Cronkite. Or whatever, historical newscaster that would just give you it like it is, and there was no slant to it. There are some on mainstream stations that don't have a slant, but it's almost like you have to pick through the good ones, But those ones I mentioned, they just come on and do it. They're very to the point. But they do, you still can get inundated. You still can increase your fear, feed your fear. And so you have to be informed, but then you also have to give yourself breaks and take care of your mental health. This week, we went away from nervousness and fear, and people started to turn towards a little bit of the crazy. More conspiracy theorists started to come out. More protests started. Though, not to get political, but the first big protest was funded by the current party in the White House. And that's just a podcast being that I want my podcast to be more uplifting, I can't go there, because that's podcast in itself. But the protests have started. So my thing is that also leans towards the insanity a bit. So it's a week where it's time to really take care of your mental health. And some that are posting, perhaps that was always an issue, But some, I think all of us can go there. I think all of us can lean into wondering if we're starting to lose our mind, because day in and day out, for a lot of us, it's Groundhog Day. I thankfully am working. I'm working from home, but I do get dressed. I do try to have a schedule. I have a work schedule, but I try to still have a schedule where I get up at the same time. I go to bed at the same time most of the time. I try to make it like a normal work schedule, except that I'm not going out to the office, which is just 10 minutes down the road. And I wanted to that's my way of staying in a good place, and so I'm not one of those, and I'm not judging this, but I'm not one of those that's at home in the jams. I'm not really overeating, though my diet, I am eating good stuff, but my diet could even be healthier. I just have to get through a half a chocolate bunny and I'm on the road, right? And so, but for the most part, I understand that the better your diet, the stronger your immune system. And I don't go out really. I go out once a week, perhaps when it's time to maybe get something. I'm not going out just for the sake of going out. I will walk out in the yard every once in a while. Maybe I could take a walk a little bit more. So those are intentions that I have when the weather breaks a little bit more. But back to my point, be careful not to get pulled in to the insanity. There is a common sense and healthiness, and then there's over the top. Of course you're welcome to protest. But put a mask on and stay apart from each other. I think they're doing that in Pennsylvania tomorrow. And now I tell you, I don't understand why you're protesting. I'm self-employed. I took a hit. I had to get creative with, I'm kind of weird, in a weird way, thankful, but I'm thankful because I'm on Zoom now. I'm getting comfortable with Zoom. I thought I'd get on Zoom, and I've said this to some of you guys before that listen to my podcast every week. I thought I'd get on Zoom when I started my hypnotherapy practice again, so that I could expand my practice around the world. But now I'm on Zoom to make a living with my regular appointments. Even distance healing can be done through Zoom. And so it caused me to be able to expand myself. And my clients are loving it. And people that would love to see my face can still see my face. And so that's a dynamic that was forced upon me, but it's good. It's good. There are, I just heard on the news before I got on, there's a brewery that's now making pizzas to go with their curbside pickup. That's something they never did before. So people are becoming more inventive, more creative in order to survive these times financially. Now, some of us, I have not gotten some of the rewards. I've not gotten, an SBA loan or a stimulus just yet. Some have gotten that help, but some haven't. And some can't qualify for things. And so it's really an inventive time for a lot of us. And that makes it kind of amazing because you're becoming a survivor, some of us, some of you. And if this ever may happen again, or whatever the next shift will be, you'll be ready. You'll know what to do. You definitely have enough toilet paper, won't you? It used to be milk and bread. Now it's going to be toilet paper from now on. And so, it's important to know that you've grown, you've expanded, and this will inevitably reward you. And for others that haven't grown and expanded, you will survive. And it's harder now, but you will survive. A lot of us will survive, and we'll get through this, much like people get through storms. So I don't mind the protests. I don't really quite understand them, because I know my leader in my state, in conjunction with other states' leaders, they're working as a team. They're trying to figure out how to get us back out. They don't want to stay at home. They understand. They enjoy pubs. They want to be able to travel too. People see demons where there aren't demons sometimes. People see negatives, and they see conspiracies where there aren't conspiracies. They see crookedness where there isn't crookedness. Yet oftentimes, these same people ignore what's right in front of them as far as corruption and greed. It's interesting. It's interesting, the human self, and what our belief systems will cause us to do. But there are other people that just don't care, want to harm others. And I get it. I saw this nice lady, I assume she's nice, yelling out of her car window, "I need to get back to work. I need the money. I have a business." I understand. Believe me, I understand. But infecting yourself and others is not going to get you what you're trying to get. It's like someone on the Titanic that could have gotten a lifeboat but decided to jump early. It's like anyone that can be rescued but doesn't wait. It's a leap of unfaith, misfaith, lack of faith. No. And I understand. I have empathy. But your course is going to harm, not hurt. And I'm not even being judgy. I just see things in action. So pop out the conspiracy theorists. Oh my, oh my. Be afraid, people, be afraid. No, thank you. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to be afraid of 5G cell tower hurting my immune system. The stress that we live in every day does more damage than any frequency that might affect our bodies. Stress kills. That's why it's so important to meditate, to exercise, to eat right, to use your intuition. God gave us intuition. It's a gift. Use it. It's centered right in the middle of your body, in that gut. And it'll tell you who to beware of and who not. And there are very wonderful, beautiful people out there that believe things, and even when the things don't happen, they still believe. Granted, I still believe in Santa Claus because St. Nicholas was a real person, and I believe in the miracle of Christmas. And sometimes, mysteriously, people can be helped during that time of year when we're all in a state of magic and generosity. And yet myself, I've never seen him myself. I believe in God, but I've heard him, but I've never seen him. So sometimes and that's true, by the way, that is true, and I am sane. Some people believe what they do not see, and that's fine. Sometimes, for instance, for those of you who do believe in a higher power, in a creator, in a God, you can see that through the synchronicities around you. You can see it through the magic of the earth and how it rebirths itself every year. The magic of them, just how things work around us. The prayers that are answered eventually, all of them are answered eventually. So there's evidence of God. Even if it doesn't come before you and stand there, the old man with the beard, and tell you, here I am. There's still evidence. But people believe in things where there's no evidence. It's amazing. And right now this week it's causing them to post. Scientists will tell you, scientists with no agenda will tell you that there isn't a circuitry, a vibration that can harm you right now, or that is going to unload and harm you. And my gut tells me in this case we can believe them. Sometimes you have to use your gut and it goes the other way. There are people that believe that we were supposed to go through a dark time of the internet. Well, that would have been awful. Didn't happen. Because of some great thing that's going on. People just believe in a deep state, in a dark state. And yes, there are powerful people in this world that run things behind the scenes a little bit more than we would like them to. But we have to kind of know in our gut, how much do they really have in power and how much don't they? Do they really run your everyday life? Do they make your choices as to where you work? Do they make your choices about who you marry? Do they make your choices about what you eat and what you drink? No. You have free will. You have power over your own life. And nobody can take that from you but you. Nobody. I saw this yesterday. Sheep. Don't be sheep. They're trying to make us all sheep by making us stay at home. I'm working. I'm not a sheep. I'm working now, and it started out kind of quiet, but now I'm starting to work as much as I ever did. I adjusted. I'm not a sheep. Are you a sheep? How many of you love working from home? I know that some of you are stressed. And maybe some of you are listening to this and saying, Lisa, I want to get out of this house. I understand that. But there's a difference between being restless and thinking there's a big political agenda, cabal. I'm not trying to laugh. That's trying to control us and chain us and take over our world. Scientists are being made to be bad guys. Philanthropists are being made to be bad guys. It's, stop the insanity. Yes, in anything, sometimes there is a little tiny bit of truth. And who's to say where this virus came from? Could it come from a lab? My primary physician thought it did. Could it came from a bat? Could it came from a person? Who cares? There have been pandemics before, and there will probably be pandemics again. This one was a strain that we didn't understand, we didn't have info on. It's not like a flu, so we needed to find out information, and we needed, think about it this way, and I'm not trying to lecture, though I think I sound that way. It's not my intention. Think about it. There has been, I believe, over 33,000 people to have died and were locked down. Imagine if we were at ball games with each other, and weddings and funerals and malls and beaches, and wouldn't that be wonderful? I'm supposed to be in Virginia this weekend. What if we were doing our normal lives? How many would be passed? Much more. Maybe 10 times more. It's very contagious. Things happen, but it doesn't mean that there's a great force trying to wipe us out. Though some are believing in Darwinism a little bit more, aren't they? with their lack of protection. But it's been predicted over years that we were susceptible to another pandemic. It didn't come out of nowhere. So all I'm saying is, be very careful about what you hear. Don't bash it entirely. If it doesn't fit into what your gut tells you should believe, just keep scrolling. Because what I've learned is, when someone wants to believe something, there's no telling them otherwise. You just can only pray and hope that evidence will show them otherwise, and that they'll wish to accept that evidence. And just wish everyone well. Now, some of you, some of us, some of this, quote, insanity time is because we've been locked up. And if that's the case, where you are getting stir crazy and starting to wonder if there is a conspiracy, or, starting to get into your own head too much, once again, it's so important to take care of yourself. Get out of the house and take a walk. Meditate, turn off the TV, listen to great music. Learn something. There are free online classes now. Even Yale has free online classes. Lock yourself away from the kids if you have to. Mommy time, daddy time. Whatever you need for your own emotional, physical, mental health, it's very important, even if it's only 15 minutes a day. Because, of course, there's such a thing of, Stockholm Syndrome. And we are, right now, being held to our homes. So it's very important to take care of yourself and not let yourself slide to the insanity. But as I said, that's probably a very small number of you. The rest of you were always able to go there with negativity and conspiracy theories. It amazes me how people still want to post what they still want to post. I'm not even going to use an example. they still want to believe the worst about people that are helping them. It's amazing. No, I'll say it. There are people that still want to be political and just always say, oh, I hate the governor. I hate him. I wish he would shut up. I wish somebody would harm him. Yeah, it goes that way. This guy's trying to save your life. It's amazing. But people will be people with their beliefs, with their beliefs that were probably given to them, that they learned over time. Because if they were using their own common sense and their own intuition, they would be able to see what's really going on. But, once again, sounding judgy, but only trying to observe, people sometimes are still going to be negative. They'll bite the hand that's helping them. And that's just who they choose to be. And so, maybe we should all pray for them. That because we are in this together, and it's different for all of us. We're in this together, though. My experience is different from your experience. It's not all the same. The only common denominator is that we're being told to stay home. Everything else is up to individuality. And so we can only hope and pray and help those who need our help, who aren't coping as well as hopefully you are. Check on the neighbor. Get off the phone with a friend if they're starting to be negative. Take care of yourself. So important. I'm curious to see what next week brings, this coming week. Do we continue it? Or are we going into a new phase of lockdown? Oh, it doesn't get worse. It could, in little factions, get more violent, but I don't think for the most of us. I think we'll just be watching it. But I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't. But eventually, everyone, we will be sprung. And we'll have to use caution. And it will take us a while. But life, for the most of us, will go on. And then we'll tell our grandchildren about it. Somebody made a great point. They said, I have a great-grandparents never once talked about the Spanish flu. And they used that as an example of, see, they're hyping that to keep us in our houses about this one. That Spanish flu probably wasn't all that bad. Yes, it was. And thankfully another person spoke up and said, actually, I heard a lot about it from my ancestors. These are also the same people that eventually 10 years later went through the Great Depression. Maybe that was more meaningful for them after they survived the one thing. But, we have been through things like this before. We have been through the plague. We have been through yellow fevers and Spanish flus. And as I said, we'll get through this. And we know more now. We know to stay away from each other now. And yes, it's killed the economy. But we're resilient humankind. We will come back from this. And in some great way, we will be better for it. So that's so important to keep in mind. Well, I feel it though, and I hope you don't feel it, that perhaps this is a bit of a lecture podcast. And I want to make it very clear that I don't stand above you and talk down to you, nor to people who are in these moments. I may not agree with them, but I don't wish them well. I really wasn't laughing at them. I'm just amazed at the turn that this all has taken. And how people wish to live in fear. Don't live in fear. You're larger and more powerful and greater than anything you would fear. And 97 to 99% of the time what you fear never really happens. Never really happens. So it's so important to keep that in mind as well. Or it doesn't happen to the extent that you feared it would. So that's so important to keep in mind. This week, stay away from the insanity. Don't get riled up. Don't get triggered. I've backed away from people. If I have to, and you are someone I'm tied to personally, I might unfollow you. If I'm not really tied to you, and I see some stuff, I might just unfriend you. For my own healthy bubble. Sometimes I speak up. It depends. Depends. But I find I don't do that too much because people are going to be where they want to be. And it only ends up getting me called names if I speak up. So who needs that? But this week, take care of you. Whatever that may mean. If it means a ladies' wine gathering, if it means a virtual birthday party, if it means a virtual barbecue, awesome idea. If it means reading a great book, if it means taking an online course, if it means exercising, if it means eating healthier, if it means watching a funny movie, if it means sleeping in more, whatever it means, whatever you need to do, put you first because you matter. You are a magnificent creation of a higher source. You are a spark. You are a star. You are adored. You are honored in dimensions that you don't even realize you visit. Treat yourself like the king, queen, goddess, god you are. And take care of yourself this week. It's so very important. And stay away from the insanity. Thank you, good listeners. I appreciate you. I hope you all stayed to the end. I hope you have a magnificent Sunday. I hope you have a magnificent week till I talk to you again. Please like, share, subscribe. If you have a topic you want me to talk about, please feel free to give me that suggestion. I would not mind. And I wish you well. Take care. And many blessings to all of you. Bye-bye.